back again. I've installed the flight controller bolts. It is very important. Do not just presume that you can just put the bolt in and install the flight controller. First thing is you can't access these bolts anyway, but the flight controller needs to be isolated on its own mount and not floating on the bolt. So fit your plastic spacers over the top there. This helps so you don't wreck the rubber isolation piece on the flight controller. Make sure you put the flight controller the right way up, the right way around. In this case, there's an arrow pointing which is correct to the front. Install that. Install your lock nuts on top. Just check you may have room for a washer. In this case we do. I'll come back to that, and install make sure you go back and use Loctite all these in properly, just double check. Put your grommet in here for the power wire this will run the DJI wire, so it has an extra spare battery. As a battery runs by itself, but you can use a flight controller, but also you can run your GPS wires out here or straight out the back, over the top and down in here. You see this is a standard tray holding any type of GPS basically. This is a custom one here, and that's built for the Brain GPS, and it fits really nice in there, nice and snug. And you can see it doesn't actually need a nut to hold it in, that slides in and you put your bolt in, but the bolt can only go to that position there because your wires come through here. It's just basically a ATW 14 wire, runs out there, and the plug runs down to here, back of there, and you plug your flight battery in, not the main battery for your motors and that. Yep. Oh, okay. Also on here we have, which is available, this is a 3D print to hold like a 3D camera. It's just for gimmick sake really. Onwards, I'll carry on and get back to you. GPS installed, parachute receiving, keeping a distance here so there's not too much rigidity, so the flight controller can move and it won't transfer to it. XT60 installed, wires going through. This will run the air unit. You can also, if you wish, just put another step down in somewhere in here, but this is very reliable anyway. You don't have to worry about anything breaking down. Yes, so next thing to do is go and put it on the computer. Well, all this is first in the back here, so it should be wired the right way around now. Right now, I've done the motor check already, but just going to go through. Get into the motors tab, on motor 1, which is right. I had to change that one using the APD software. Was going the right way. going the right way. And motor 4, I also had to change using the APT software. It's 1.2 and the software version is 2.4. Back again, we have the E-unit installed. The main power feed for the E-unit is coming from this XT60, which would be 3S battery driver. This comes up here and the power wires meet into here. So I've put some strain relief in there as well. And yes, so pretty much all there. The GPS here, instead of going through the middle and along there, because we're going to run on whenever we want to keep the wire away as much as possible. Top plate installed with the unit inside. This is just temporary because we're waiting on that giraffe plate. And there's a side mount to go on here at some stage. Grab your battery tray and Loctite these nuts on. Turn it over and get some and then just cut slivers just around here. This will stop the battery sliding in and out. Install your batteries like so. And your battery for your unit fits in the middle. This is a pull pad, incredibly light. That sits on the bottom, that goes near the ground. The straps we use are Airunit straps from eBay. You can see that pad, it's actually a pad like a jigsaw you put on the ground. You just go and get one of those, they're cheap as. So you can see that's one pack. So you can have 2 or 3 of these if you wanted to. Obviously it's going to cost you for the extra plates and bits. But for fast swap out, it's really good. And you only need to take one out at a time, load your new battery on the other side, and then pull the other side out of this so it's like a fast swap. I'm going to show you loading the batteries. Done. I've copied the settings over from my X8. Now I know that work with these motors. Okay, I've double checked everything. It's plugged in both ends for each battery, has its own plug. Here it's plugged in. Arming. So I'm at it. Just over about 8 kilometers and I'm hovering. Just checking your authority. on ground. Pitch. Roll. Oh, and this is running Betaflight as well, and not the latest 4.3, 4.2, 4.28 I think, 0.8. Now, as a pre-flight, because this runs a separate battery to run the air unit, it's a 3000 milliamp, 3300 milliamp glider battery, I think, which is quite thin, so it goes in there nicely. So you need to check that voltage, and that voltage should last for 2 or 3 hours or more, probably. So we get to check on that. And yes, it all looks all good to me. So the advantage of having plugs at each end of the quad is that you can hot swap. Also, if one battery kind of fails, it's not relying on the one end. And also it will run 8S in that configuration, so rather than plugging the other end, you just put the batteries facing, the 8S batteries facing at one end, and then cross them over to get your 8S configuration, and then plug them in, which leaves the other end with nothing. But then if you want to run four cell batteries for 8S, which is heavier again, it's up to you.